My name's Matt Mason. I'm the author of a book which just came out called The Pirate's Dilemma, which deals with the very unconventional ways that people are using and reusing and sharing information. And I make the case that sometimes when an artist or an organisation is faced with the problem of piracy, then the way to defeat the pirates is not to fight them with lawsuits, but is actually to try and work out the thing they're doing that people like and compete with them in the marketplace. In the business I'm in, books don't get pirated that often, but they do get pirated, and my book is being pirated and has been pirated, and I've talked to my publishers about this, and so we're going to make the book available online as a pay what you want download. So it will be online for free, but you can pay something for it if you like. That's struck me as being a good way to compete with piracy. And actually the thing is, with books, the real problem is obscurity. The problem is not enough people knowing about them and knowing about and reading and actually being interested in books. So piracy can be a really good thing in that industry. Hillary Clinton has been promoting the idea that we need to clamp down on China and on piracy happening there. But what's interesting about that is America industrialized in exactly the same way. America industrialized by completely ignoring international copyright and patents and IP laws that the Europeans made, and that's why it was able to industrialize as quickly as it did. And what's happening now in China is very similar. The Chinese are ignoring a lot of patents and copyrights because that's the way you industrialize quickly. It's not just China doing it, it's lots of countries. It's Southern American countries, it's countries all over Asia, it's African countries. But that's how we did it. And the Europeans were just as guilty of piracy as the Americans. So in terms of how nations grow, piracy is always at the beginning of those situations. After 10 years of being battered by pirates in the digital downloading arena, the major labels are sort of finally coming around to the idea that they need to work out a new business model, and they need to legitimize digital downloading and work out a way to monetize it at a price that's right for both consumers and for artists. And I think the problem for the last 10 years has been a reluctance to do that, for the most part, at the not from everybody at the majors, but certainly from most people there. That wasn't what they wanted to do. What's interesting now, because of what's happened to the music business, lots of other industries are looking at that and saying, well, we do not want to see this happen to us. We need to do something differently now. And we're seeing large media companies like Disney, ABC doing this with their TV shows. And we're starting to see some people in Hollywood experiment with the idea of simultaneous releasing movies on the same day in theatres and on DVD and for download. So far it's only been one company that's really done that on any large scale, Mark Cuban's company. The reason they were able to do that is they actually also own the theatres, and they have a DVD business, and they have an HD DVD download system in place, so they can do all these things. The problem with a lot of businesses is when a new disruptive technology like this comes into play, then they're not equipped in the first instance to suddenly open all these new areas of distribution and change their whole business model overnight. So it has been difficult for a lot of companies to do this, but because of what's happened to the music business, lots of people are now thinking, okay, we don't have a choice, we've got to work out how to monetize this, or we'll be gone and someone else will be doing it. So video games are interesting because collaboration with the audience has always been a part of how video games are created. If you go back to 1981, when a game called Castle Wolfenstein was hacked and turned into a game called Castle Smurfenstein, which involved shooting Smurfs, you follow that through its progression through the video game industry. That idea, that bootleg of a video game, really inspired a lot of the early adopters and the first people to think about programming video games in the 80s, who then grew up to run some of the big video game studios in the 90s. And the idea that hacking a game and changing it was a good thing was something that was kind of ingrained in computer and video game culture from a very, very early stage. And now it's one of the reasons that it's such a dynamic business and it's so progressive. You have this huge pool of amateurs out there constantly hacking and remixing and changing video games and finding all these incredible new innovations and sources of value within video games. if you look at the evolution of id Software's games from Wolfenstein to Doom to Quake, all the some of the most popular first-person shooters in the world, at every stage, the official release of the game borrowed things that the hackers and modders had done on the unofficial versions of the previous game. And this is something we've seen throughout the progression. It's stretched all the way into the console market now. The first Xbox was hacked and modded and changed by what were essentially pirates taking Microsoft's system, changing it and then selling it again at a higher price. What Microsoft did with the Xbox 360 was they decided to incorporate all of the new additional elements that the pirates have put into the Xbox 360 release. Nintendo also did it with the Wii when they made the Wii backwards compatible with the GameCube and all their previous game systems. You can get the games for the oldest Nintendo system on the Wii. And all of these ideas came from people hacking video game machines and making pirate versions. So in businesses where people collaborate with the audience, they tend to find out what it is that the audience really wants, and they can serve them better and make better products. And so yes, maybe it's a problem in the short term if you're Microsoft and pirates are selling this unofficial Xbox that's, hasn't got a proper warranty, and maybe it's bad for the brand in one sense. But long term, if you can extract the value that pirate copy creates and put it in your new machine and create a better machine for your customers, well, there's something to be said for that too. And so that's really what collaboration with customers is all about, and how to realise the potential of letting people remix your stuff.